Hello, I'm Olivier, and welcome to RP Actuators Kigali. Remember, we are doing hydraulics and the pneumatic system. So today, we are going to do all is about hydraulic system. Let me remind you that you have to take notes. You need this piece of paper and a pen, and make sure you take good notes. So let's get started. So basically, when you say hydraulic system, we just mean it's the use of pressurized oil to transmit power. Oil is a kind of liquid. In pneumatics, we've been using gases, and this time we're going to use oil. And the oil that you have to use, it is supposed to be fluid. It's supposed to be able to flow. So when you say hydraulics, first of all, it can be used in several applications. Let's say like motor vehicle brakes. You know, when you are driving and you need to brake like a short time, you can apply on a brake. Or power steering, it's easy to manipulate, if to turn or to do cornering. So in industries, it also be used like a stamping, like a tensioning, like a hydraulic jack. You can have also, whether in industries or motor vehicles. Also, we can have its application in heavy vehicles. Let's say like loaders, like a bulldozer, like excavators or backhoe. So basically, we need to first understand the basic principles for liquids. You know that liquids do not have shape. All liquids do not have shape, so they'll be taking the shape of the container. Number two, liquids are practically incompressible. Practically incompressible. Just like when you put liquids in a container and then you apply a force on that liquid, the pressure will be built in that container and it will be vanished in all directions, having the same value. Number three, liquids can transmit power. If you link two cylinders, like what I have here, if you link two cylinders by a pipe and then you fill liquids or water like oil, if you press one piston to move downward, the other piston will be moving upward. So which means you can be transmitting the applied force. And number four, it's force multiplication. With liquids, you can multiply your force. If you have two cylinders with different size, you link them with a pipe and you fill them with liquids. If you use the small cylinder as the input cylinder, your force will be multiplied. And that's what is happening on the hydraulic jack. Even on car brakes, you apply just a little force and you end up with maximum force. Let me show you how this works through calculations. So let's see how the force gets multiplied by either hydraulic jack or hydraulic brake. Let's say you need to lift this weight, it's a heavy weight, and by using just F1, a little force. So if you apply F1, it will move downward, and oil will be pressurized, which will cause to have P1. And the same P is going to be generated to cylinder 2 because this is a Pascal's law. And according to Pascal's law, when a force is applied on a liquid in a container, a pressure is vanished in all directions, having the same value. So since the two cylinders are connected with a pipe, so we have the same pressure in both cylinders. So and P1 is equal to P2. And this is the Pascal's law, you know it from the primary school. So now, if we know that P1 is equal to F1 per A1 and P2 is equal to F2 per A2, therefore we can conclude saying that F1 per A1 is equal to F2 per A2, just because P1 is equal to P2. And therefore we can end up by saying that F1 per F2 is equal to A1 per A2. So let's apply some values, numerical values, to see if we imagine like F1 to be 10, like 10 Newton, and A1 to be like 0.005 meters squares, and A2 to be 0.05 meters squares. What might be the F2? So by applying the formula, we can see that by replacing all values, we can see that 10 times 5 times 10 power negative 2 over 5 times 10 power negative 3. This end up by cancelling 5 to 5. So therefore, F2 will be equal to 100. And you can see that F1 is 10, and F2 this time is 100. So by conclusion, F2 is multiplied just because we use two different cylinders. One is small and the other one is large. And this is what is happening when you are using a car jack or a braking system. You don't need to apply much force to perform your task just because hydraulics is going to multiply force for you. Let's see some advantages of hydraulics. First, it is easy and accurate control. You can control the hydraulic system just by using simple on and off, by using our valves on and off. You can adjust the speed as much as you need. It's very simple. Number two, hydraulic system multiply the force. This is what you came to see in hydraulics, brake or in steering or in lifting heavy weights. Number three, hydraulic system, force is constant regardless to the speed. You can change the speed and force will remain constant. And it is simple and safe to use hydraulic system. But it has also got some disadvantages. Like when you are performing your work, the hydraulic pipe might burst. So you need to use a very good quality of pipes. And hydraulic is messy. The oil is messy, so you need to be cleaning every time. And number three, hydraulic oil catch fire. So you need to be careful when you are working in the region which can cause fire hazard. So you need extinguishers or other things as protection equipment. So let's see the basic components for hydraulic system, because when you need to have a circuit, you need to know the basic component that you might need. So the first one is hydraulic tank. And this is the tank, the one that stores the oil. And it is low pressure tank. It is the one that holds all oil that you're going to use in your system. And number two, you will need a pump. This is a pump, one type of pump like a gear pump. And this is another pump like vane pump. So whatever the type, as long as it is a pump, it is very useful. You will also need the primer mover. For most of hydraulic system, we use electric motor or engine, as long as it provides mechanical motion to the pump, because a pump needs to operate. It needs mechanical motion so that it can start pumping oil. So the electric motor will be driving the pump. Apart from that, you will need the valve, control valves. And control valves comes in three main categories. There is the so-called pressure control valves, the one that deals with a pressure. You can set force you need in the system by manipulating a pressure control valve. And the main element is pressure relief valve, which is the key. This is the main protection for the whole circuit. If you are going to design a circuit, you don't have to forget a relief valve, because when the pressure is enough, it tries to take back oil to the tank. You also need to know the directional control valves. Directional control valves, which are going to be manipulating the cylinder. And apart from that, you will also need the flow control valves, like this, in order to manipulate the speed. So you will be adjusting the speed of your cylinders or your motors. And one thing else, you also need actuators. You need actuators, like cylinder, like the one we saw in pneumatics. So it's a double acting cylinder. You will also need like a motor, a hydraulic motor. It receives hydraulic energy, then it turns. Apart from this, you will need pipes to be linking all of this component. So if you know you are going to make a circuit, you make sure that you at least have the basics of the component. And remember that you already need to know the symbol, like the one we saw last time. So our next video will be about now to make circuits and to link all of those components so that we can see the circuit working. Thank you.